Our webcam. Select here to send video. Remove it. Not there, not there, not there, not there.
కలిపి ఒకసారి ఏం రాలేదండి మెసేజ్ కానీ పాయింట్స్ లెవెల్లా ఒకసారి వాట్సాప్ పంపండి, ఎందుకంటే ఓపెన్ చేస్తున్నాను. వాట్సాప్ పంపండి. ఏంటి ఇప్పుడు ఇచ్చేది?
వెంకటేశ్వర్లు సార్, so we request you all the panelists, please mute your mic.
We can start, I think. We are already late.
We need no magic to change the world. We carry all we need inside ourselves already, the power to create. In these words of author J.K. Rowling, I, Vardha Prasad, President of Center for Gender Studies of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, warmly welcomes our esteemed guests and dear students to the panel discussion on women in leadership legal profession. The Center for Gender Studies aims at creating an intellectual locus for gender-focused research, teaching, and academic debates related to gender equality. The center also organizes and coordinates gender debates of both national and international interest, as linking up with national and international gender-affiliate people, institutions, and organizations in order to strengthen the capacity of researchers to respond to gender-related challenges in development issues. The Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industry came into existence on 16 December 2010 as a non-political and non-profit making organization with a firm commitment to create a new climate in trade, commerce, industry, and agriculture. The organization intends to play a very constructive and catalytic role to make Telangana in occupying prominence on industrial platform in the country. Today, these two organizations have come together to celebrate the International Women's Day. International Women's Day, commemorated on 8th of March every year, is earmarked to celebrate womanhood and recognize her achievements without regard to divisions like national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, economic, or political. It is a day to acknowledge and make people aware of women's rights and gender equality, parity, and call to action for accelerating women's equality. The theme of International Women's Day this year is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in COVID-19 World. It highlights how women can be equal partners in decision-making processes, especially those regarding policy making. This year, the need of the hour is to bring to life the tremendous efforts by women and girls around the world in shaping a more equal future and recovery from COVID-19 pandemic and highlight the gap that remains. We would now like to present a video dedicated to this theme. Ramesh sir, would you please? I would now invite Professor Dr. Sarfaraz Ahmed Khan, Director, Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Vardha, and thanks to everyone. First and foremost, all the panelists, all the students who are joining here. Happy International Women Day to all of you. It's a great occasion when we are organizing this program, and I'm happy to share that this is the first programs under the mutual understanding MOU which we have entered into with Telangana Chamber of Commerce. So there's a joint programs between us and Telangana Chamber of Commerce. I'm indeed grateful to Sri M. Venkateshwaralu sir for agreeing to partner with Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad, and jointly with Telangana Chamber of Commerce, Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad is taking initiative to do more similar programs of mutual interest. And we thought that the International Women Day is the best occasions when we can start our partnerships for doing good for the society, where the Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad can contribute jointly with the Telangana Chamber of Commerce. On these occasions, I'm really grateful to Honorable Justice Nadira Patiria ma'am, who agreed to join these programs despite her busy schedules, and we consider ma'am as one of the extended family of Symbiosis Law School. So she came earlier also. So it's an honor, ma'am, and we welcome you for this program. I welcome other panelists, also Dr. Nusrat Parveen Khan, ma'am. Probably she was facing some technical difficulty, but hopefully she can join soon, or probably might be she has joined already. It is indeed again honor and privilege to have among us Advocate Aparna Bhatt. We all know her. We know her work as an activist. We know her work as a female lawyer. We know her as a women leaders in the legal arena. So, ma'am agreed to address us. So, we welcome you at Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, and we look forward for have more interactions in future. Again, we welcome Ms. Debolina Saha, who again we consider her as part of Symbiosis family. She earlier visited us. She interacted with the students on several occasions. All the other my colleagues at Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad, all the students who are joining these programs, welcome to all of you for this webinar which we are conducting on the theme which the International Women Day this year has choose on women in leaderships. So we thought that this could be a most important occasions where we can discuss about in the legal professions, women in leaderships. We try to see from the 4 different angle, academia and the women leaderships, judiciary and women leaderships, practicing lawyer or legal work with the women leaderships, as well as the firms or other corporate sectors from whether our lawyers can join their leadership. So we thought that 4 panelists having achievers in the field, they are the leaders in their own fields, they can address to our future students. I'm very happy and glad. We always feel proud to share these informations with all of you. And particularly on this International Women Day occasions, that Symbiosis Law School Hyderabad is a institute where consistently the women or female students are increasing in number. So like maybe starting from 55-56% of a female student to in 2019-24 batch, we have almost 63% female student. 2020-25 batch, we have almost 66% female students. That can show that in the legal professions, the next decade will be of female. So we will find the leadership everywhere given by the females. From the Symbiosis or many other similar institutions throughout the country who is taking lead in it. So from the achievers, from the present leaders, our future leaders will hear and get the knowledge, tips, how they can lead the future legal profession. So with these few words, we are waiting without taking any time, without ado. I just wanted all the panelists will address. So I welcome all of you to this program's webinar conducted by Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, jointly with Telangana Chamber of Commerce. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir, for your words. I would now invite Mr. Venkateshwaru Maheshwaram, President, Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industry, to deliver a welcome address.
ఒకసారి మెయిల్లోనే ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ లాగిన్ అవ్వండి.
Sorry, sir, your voice is echoing.
Tushar, mute your mic.
అక్కడ మైక్ ఓపెన్ చేశాను.
Hello, Venkateshwar sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not able to
No issue,
get
sir.
the connection.
No issue,
There
sir.
is
No
some-
issue, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, you want me to speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir. Right side of your name, there is one video symbol, sir. Can you see, sir?
Yeah, I'm not able to find the video, but I think I can. Will it be all right if I?
Okay, sir. You can continue, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My apologies for the failure of certain technical availability of services. Now, Professor Khan, Honorable Justice Narira Pateya, Dr. Parveen Khan, Saha Narayanan, and the participants in the webinar. I recall this a very standard saying that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is the slogan I always use whenever I have an opportunity of participating in seminars or conferences. And at the outset, on behalf of Techie also, we welcome you all on behalf of the organization. At the outset, I thank the director, Professor Khan, for having taken the initiative to, to organize this event on this International Women's Day. In fact, I was very keen to invite the Mayor of Hyderabad to be the chief guest for this occasion, but unfortunately, she is tied up very badly because due to various commitments. And I'm on the job of inviting you to the university, to the law school, as quickly as possible this week only. Would like to listen to the panel speakers to design our program, which will be implemented in our organization through a legal committee. We have recently established a committee, constituted a committee with the prominent advocates and the legal experts in Techie. In fact, recently we have organized a very big seminar in collaboration with the Competition Commission of India. It was a very successful event, which was inaugurated by the Governor of Telangana, and the chairman of Competition Commission was also one of the guests, including their members. And now coming to Techie's initiative, we are very keen to get associated with Symbiosis University Law School in organizing many activities on the legal issues. We are taking some of your students as for internship, and would like to have a very good platform with company secretaries, chartered accountants, and the eminent advocates to look after the corporate matters. In fact, Telangana state needs a good number of advocates, competent advocates, to be with us, and they can join our Chamber of Commerce committee on legal affairs. In fact, we are trying to have the privilege of inviting Kamala Harris, Vice President of the US, for a seminar. The efforts are on. I'm very confident that it will get the consent of the Vice President. Pardon? Am I clear? Are you able to listen? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Nujat madam, please mute your mic.
Yeah. So now we have also appointed one Mr. Srinivasarao Kavuri, who was a former student of your university.
Kindly address all gathered and give a vote of thanks. I would like to
Is it all right?
video. Kindly address the gathered.
Is it all right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So now what I want is, I'm really interested in listening to all these experts to design our own program of constituting a committee on legal affairs.
क्या कह रही
I'm really sorry. I have lost an opportunity of speaking.
Please continue, sir. Please continue.
So now I would like to listen to all the speakers, and we'll have a very good program in Techie. And I'll be very happy if one of the speakers, one of the former judges, will accept our request to be the chairman of the advisory committee on legal affairs. I will be in touch with this former judge, Honorable Justice Nadia, to consider our request, and I will send the proposal through you, through the director, in the next few days. I'm getting my own voice. Something is wrong. Now, anyway, but because I'm not able to, I'm getting my own voice back. So what I do is I will just listen to all the speakers. Then I will have the opportunity, if this cooperates, I will have a last word at the end. And meanwhile, I'm very keen to meet all these.
No, sir, it is absolutely fine, sir. Venkateshwarlu, sir, it is absolutely fine. Be continue, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
For me, I'm getting the voice back. So I'm getting confused. In fact,
No, it's absolutely fine, sir. No problem, sir.
Okay. So what I feel is the need of the hour is to be in touch with all these VIPs, experts, to have a very solid legal committee which will cater to the needs of the Telangana state, Telangana industry, and in fact, Telangana industry needs eminent lawyers who to advise them. There are a number of problems which are being faced by the industry in Telangana state, especially in the MSME sector. And we will be having one more conference with the Competition Commission of India very soon. The Chief Secretary has recently called me to organize district level conferences to promote competition success of India due to various issues which are being confronted by the small scale industry. So now what I request the director is to send some students for internship from 1st April onwards, and this will be a continuous process to concentrate on legal matters in cooperation with the law school and I will be making the mayor of Hyderabad to talk to you tomorrow or day after for a courtesy call. And I will be coming, I'll be bringing to the institute as quickly as possible to have a look. I am sure she will be impressed with the quality of education being offered by the law school and the atmosphere prevailing in the complex. So now with these words, I will thank you very much, and I'm very keen to listen to the speakers. I think now it is only 5:30. I've wasted half an hour time. So I'll be listening to them to decide my own program in Telangana Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Thank you, Dr. Khan. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your words. I would now invite Ms. Ashi Paharia, a member of Center for Gender Studies of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, to share her views on judiciary.
Thank you, Verda. I hope that I'm audible. In words of Diana Merrichild, a woman is a full circle. Within her is the power to create, nurture, and transform. A very good evening to all of you present virtually. I am Ashi Paharia from Center of Gender Studies. Welcomes you all on the occasion of International Women's Day. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Priyanka Bahut ma'am for giving me this opportunity to speak before such esteemed personalities. We all are aware of the fact that women have suffered from ages. There were times when women were considered as a second class citizen. But in today's era, women are proving that they are not dependent on anyone. And we usually refer that as women empowerment. They are proving their leadership in almost every profession we have. But when we talk about judiciary, the question arises that what is the status of role of the woman in Indian judiciary? Kindly allow me to bring some facts. When we talk about the higher judiciary in India, there are 3 female judges in as against a sanctioned strength of 33 judges. There are only 80 women judges out of 1,113 judges in High Court and in Supreme Court combinedly. We are still awaiting for the first ever female Chief Justice of India. In short, we have only 27.6% women constituting the strength of 15,806 judges. It is pertinent to mention that the first female judge appointed in Supreme Court was Justice Fatima Bibi from Kerala, but that too in the year 1989. That is nothing but 40 years back. It would be very wrong to say that we as a society have not changed. In the year 1964, High Court rejected the application of women for enrollment under the Legal Practitioners Act, as they were of the opinion that women are not included in the term person. Being a law student, I honestly believe and I honestly think that whoever is sitting on the chair of judge is not working in the capacity of a man or a woman, but strictly working as a judge. But still, we have such difference in the ratio of the genders. With this, I wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashi, for your words. We take immense pride in introducing our esteemed guest, Honorable Justice Retired Nadira Pathiria. Justice Pathiria has practiced mainly in the High Court at Calcutta and also in the Supreme Court of India, High Court of Orissa, High Court at Patna, and High Court of Jharkhand. She has practiced in civil, labor, company, arbitration, and constitutional matters. She specialized in civil and constitutional laws and was elevated to the bench of High Court at Calcutta as a permanent judge on June 22, 2006. I would like to invite Honorable Justice Pathiria to please enlighten us with her thoughts.
Can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Okay, fine. A very happy Women's Day to all, irrespective of whether you are a lady or a woman and a man. Because if you see the panelists, it is filled with men and women. So I think the women are celebrating and the men are also helping and also celebrating the day because that is supporting the women. I must also thank the Center for Gender Studies of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, for having these kind of events because it does open it opens the mind of the people around. I would like to, I think the topic of today is women in leadership, legal profession. I unfortunately or fortunately belong to that profession. I started in 1983 and as a lawyer. And then in 2006, I was elevated to the Calcutta High Court as a judge, as Varda had read about it. But I go back to the legal profession and the paper that I have to read for you. The legal profession, undoubtedly, all of you are aware, is a noble profession. But I must tell you, it is also a very lucrative profession today. But women in the legal profession had to fight hard to find their place under the sun. I was reading the documentary which was presented that there was, it suggested, or rather there was the name of a lady called Cornelia Sorabji. And I'm going to speak about her a little, for about a minute maybe. The first woman, she was the first woman who had to struggle. And she studied from Bombay University. Later, she went to England to study law in England. And she took the postgraduate Bachelor of Civil Law examination at Somerville College in Oxford in 1894. She came back to India. And when she came back, she had to sit for the LLB examination, and she did that in 1897. She also sat for the pleaders examination in 1899. Now, it's very interesting why these dates are very important because she pleaded, she was a pleader, as I said, she sat for a pleaders examination in 1899. And you know that a lot of these principality, they had these women as begums or ranis and things, and she would go and defend their issues. So she was a defense lawyer, to say that. But and she could not be a barrister at all because there was a bar. Women could not be a barrister till 1923 because this bar was lifted in 1923. So after that, she became a barrister. And this is very important, and that is the reason where, although you write about Cornelia Sarabji, but nobody thinks that she had to struggle so much. And even today, women are struggling, but she was the forerunner in this struggle. Now, so we have a story of Cornelia Sarabji in the 1800s. And from 1800s, we travel to 1945. And why do I come to 1945 is because on 8th March 1945, the Charter of the UN became the first international agreement to affirm equality between women and men. And International Women's Day was celebrated in 1975. So just imagine the number of years to celebrate. It took about nearly 50, 60, 70, 30 years. And in 1977, United Nations International Year of the Woman was important for the Calcutta High Court because we had 4 lady judges who were elevated. And their names are Pratibha Banerjee, Jyotirmoyee Nag, Padma Khastagir, Manjula Bose. Now, so these were the 4 women who were elevated. They led the bench and they administered justice till they retired. And Supreme Court in 1989 got the first woman judge in Fatima Bibi. I think all the writer, all before us, before me, in fact, all the panelists before me have mentioned about her. And the reason is because this was a milestone for the women. So she became the first woman judge in the Supreme Court of India. Then you have other women judges also in the Supreme Court of India. And I'm not going to mention all of them, but I think there are 2 women in the Supreme Court who stand out. One of Calcutta High Court, and she's none other but Mrs. Rumapal. And the reason why I have mentioned about Mrs. Rumapal is because she was the longest serving woman judge of Supreme Court. And the next judge of the Supreme Court of India is whom I have mentioned which I'm going to talk about is Justice Indu Malhotra. And she stands out because she was elevated from the bar. Now, each of these women, I must tell you, had a lot of grit, they had a lot of patience, and they had leadership quality in them. Now, for me, Indu Malhotra, or I would say Justice Indu Malhotra, for me, she was the woman who had so much of grit to deliver that LGBT judgment, which we say section 377 or Navtej Singh versus Union of India. And this was section 377. And you know why I salute her? Is because she, like all the other judges who were part of that judgment, they read. And you know what she said? She said, I just want to say something. And in a very nice way, she said, my opinion is 50 pages. I'm not going to read the whole, that 50-page judgment or opinion. But all that I want to mention is this. And I quote, and it reads as follows. It says, history owes an apology to the members of this community and their families. Community and their family means the LGBT community and their families for the delay in providing redressal for the ignominy and ostracism that they have suffered through these centuries. Full stop. This is all that, and she made such an impact on that day when she delivered the judgment. And I tell you this, that there was a loud cheer which erupted in the courtroom, which was echoed outside as well. Now, according to me, this is a quality of a leader, and I think this judge, Indu Malhotra, had that leadership quality in her, which was appreciated. And that is the reason why I had to mention about it. To be a leader, you don't need any degree or to be educated. A sarpanch can be a leader. Basic fundamental principles of life, discipline is needed to be a leader. A clear mind and a heart of gold. You don't need money, but what you need is compassion. You must be kind, you must be truthful to your own self and to others too. To be a doer, willing to do something, you must be a visionary and to be above your own self. So, what I want to say is that you should be selfless to be a leader. These are the qualities of a leader. And if you have these qualities in you, and I must tell you that you can even culture it. You don't have to be, everybody is not born to be a leader, but you can nurture yourself the winner, especially in the legal profession, want to give their best either to the client or the litigant. They want to do justice, especially where women are concerned. As according to the world, the women have been marginalized, but for me, Article 14 of the Constitution of India plays a very important role in my life. Women or men is not important. Both are equal. Why should I believe that women are the weaker sex? No, they are equal to men. In fact, emotionally, women are stronger. I have seen that women lawyer will fight till the end of her client. She'll do it, she'll fight till the end for, not of her client, but for her client. While the men very often make snide remarks, which according to me is very nasty. Today, I salute those women who have stuck to their convictions and moved ahead. And in my view, they are the leaders of their society, the legal fraternity, community, and family too. Every day, you read the newspaper. Besides reading the newspaper, you also, I think all of you are very glued today and clued to the media. And every day there is something which is happening which you do not like. And well, you have to take it in your stride. But what in this news, media, whatever you read, I find that there are many attributes which are lacking. One of them, there are two. The first one I'll speak about it and then I'll go to the second one. To be humane. To be humane is lacking today. Not only amongst the leaders, but also in the common man. So the populace. There's no humane. I mean, people beat and either they rape or they molest, and this is not an attribute of humaneness. So this is humane, which is an attribute, is no more there. The next thing which I would like to address, which also is lacking, is sensitization. Because we're talking about legal profession. And legal profession means you are connected with law. All of you, every day, either you read bar and bench or live law. And while you go through it, you also read about the orders which have been passed by the Supreme Court of India and the other high courts. And all of you are aware that very recently, a Bombay High Court Nagpur bench judge dealt with the POXO case. Now, she's not the only one. She's not the only one who has passed this kind of an order. There are many who are like her. But what I feel is that she has been her case, or the case which she delivered went out of proportion, is because she's a woman. The men, maybe they've passed all these kind of orders, but nobody bothers about it. But they feel, oh, a woman, why can't she be more sensitized? But I must tell you that there are many like her. And everyone, they are aware of the sections and the acts, and they read the sections literally. But this is what is apart from a common person, a judge, and a leader. A common man doesn't have the time to go through the sections and the acts connected with law. He doesn't have that kind of time, so he goes to a advocate. The advocate pleads for the judge because he's getting his money, and that's what he can do for his litigant. Now the onus goes on the judge. Her or his task is to read the section and then give a meaningful interpretation or apply in the best way to that act and to the section. Now, in not doing so, this is why we usually say that the judge has erred in law. And this is what that is exactly why I have addressed this webinar, seminar, conference, meeting, whatever you call it. All that I want to say, that to be a part of the legal profession, your students, please do apply your mind. It's very important. And you must have a heart. You must be sensitized. If these facts or these principles are not in you, then I think you should leave law school. So I think I thank all of you. You have given me a lot of patience Thank you very much. I think the time has come for me to go, and I think all of you very patiently have heard me. So, for your time and for your patience, I thank you very much. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. I would now like to invite Ms. Smriti Rao, member of Center for Gender Studies, Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, to share her views on academia.
Hi, everybody. Good evening and happy Women's Day. So I'm basically going to speak about women in academia, and I want to begin with a few statistics about women in academia in general. So as per the 2018 statistics of the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, 72 female teachers were there per 100 male teachers, which seems like a good amount and it's a good number. But if we look into it more deeply, we see that at the tutor level, there are 189 teachers for every 100 female teachers for every 100 male teachers. And if we go up to the professorial level, it becomes only 37 female teachers for every 100 male teachers. So we see that this participation of women is very unequally distributed. And this is the same case in Indian law schools where, I'm so sorry, just a second. I'm so sorry for the disturbance. So Indian law schools have been male dominated. Men are more likely to be academic deans and vice chancellors. They are more likely to have tenures and they're more likely to be represented in academic councils. They also are cited and referenced a lot more in classrooms than women. And I can definitely be an example, like I have experienced this in my classroom also for every subject. Even in, say, constitutional law, we were taught about Ambedkar, we read Granville Austin, and we just were never introduced to Constituent Assembly members who were women like Dakshayani Vaidyanathan or Rajkumari Amritkar. And it's not that women never contributed to the academic literature and the vast knowledge that we have. It's just that their contributions are not recognized. And this is now come to a state of normalcy. It's seen as what is natural. And I would like to now give the example of Miss Dr. Lautika Sarkar, who is the first female lecturer. And she's not remembered today. And then we have Vasudha Dhagamwar, 10 years later, who's joining him. And both these women were signatories to the open letter given to the Supreme Court of India against the Mathura judgment. And this was a very important case that I hope everybody present today knows of. But when we think of the open letter, we think of it as Mr. Upendra Bakshi's open letter, but nobody remembers the women who were also a part of this and who played a role in this. However, today I see that we have Parveen ma'am, and we also have our deputy director ma'am, Dr. Anuradha Binnuri, who we see as the first, like we see as authority figures. We believe that we can also get up to their level. And while this is a positive note, I would also like to address that this is true that women are coming up, but we also have to notice that there are only a certain portion of women that are able to come up here. And so I was, for this speech particularly, I was seeing when was the first trans woman female lecturer or first lesbian female lecturer who was appointed and in the legal field. And I was so surprised to see that there were none. There was only one queer lecturer that I found, Mr. Kunal Ambasa, who was the first openly gay professor in NNS. And I did not see any openly lesbian professor. And even in trans persons, we see a lot of people who are activists. We see Grace Bhanu, who was the first trans woman to get admitted in a higher degree education institute. And this was in the 21st century. She was admitted around in like 2011, 2012, which is very, very recent. And similarly, even caste plays a huge role. In a general note, there's like 56.8% of them are from the general category. The next major majority is the OBCs. Then we have scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are a major, there's a shortage of them. We have only 8.6 and 2.27% respectively. And even if we look at the constitution that I referred to earlier, we were never taught about Dr. Velayudan, who was the only Dalit woman. And it's surprising, out of the 229 members, if I'm not wrong, who were a part of the Constituent Assembly, only 15 were women, of which only one of them was from a lower caste. And if I'm not wrong, only two of them were Muslim. And we really need, when we want women to go forward, we need women from all castes, all religions, all abilities, all of us, that we have to go up, let that be trans or who don't fit into the idea of non-native. And on that note, I would like to hand over the mic. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Smriti. I would take great honor in introducing Dr. Nushat Parveen Khan, Dean and Professor, Bennett University, Delhi. Dr. Parveen Khan is currently working as the Professor and Dean, School of Law. She has 28 years of academic experience in Central University, that is Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. She has authored dozens of books on conflicting and contemporary legal issues. Professor Khan has contributed and presented modules on jurimetric for the UGC e-Pathshala project at graduate and postgraduate level. She has also authored study material for various universities and colleges across the nation. I would humbly invite her to please share her thoughts with us. Thank you.
I don't know whether I am audible or not.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
We can hear
Uh,
you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Good afternoon, Professor Sarfaraz, Director, Symbiosis Law School, all the guest speakers, faculty members, and my dear students. A very happy Women's Day. Uh, before I heard almost all the speakers. I think there was a little difficulty while I was trying to join. These are technical glitches. There was some email ID problem, and finally while I joined, I heard 2-3 speakers. The theme which is given to us is very interesting, and I'm very happy with this term, women in leadership. And it was a good combination of the speakers. We have judges from the High Court, we have academicians, we have students also to share their experience. And when we talk of women leadership and legal profession, we have already heard speakers with regard to all those who have made their place in the legal profession, be it as judges, be it as lawyers and academia. And in total, we found their number is very less as compared to, it could have been. But it's a moment of pride while we are using the term women in leadership. Because to be in the position, women in the higher position, women in the managerial position, leadership position, does not come easy. It's a long journey, actually. I will be speaking from my heart, talking about that the girls who are studying today in the law schools, and they are almost equal in number. Sometimes in the classroom, more than their, boys classmates. But in our times, while we were studying law or even in other courses, there used to be very, very few in number. Medical profession was one where there used to be a little more as compared to, but law schools, engineering colleges, they were having very few girls at a time while I was a student. It was way back in 80s. Now, if I go to 70s, in fact, today, the day which we are celebrating as International Women's Day, while it was first time celebrated sometime in 1975, the day of 8th March was declared as this day. The status of women's education is much lower at that point of. I mean, even at my time, we are talking about the professional education, be it legal or medical or engineering profession or some other big, and being the entrepreneurs. But I remember why, because my mother, who was otherwise educated, but she took some Urdu education from Aligarh Muslim University, Adib Kamil, Adib Mahir, Muallim, etc. These were also the degrees of BA, MA, and class 12, but they were in Urdu. So to take the benefit of that Women's Day, celebration of that Women's Day, it was open education. Any women can apply directly for 10th board examination or 12th board examination. And that time I was in class 7th or 8th, and she directly, filled her form for class 10th. And she was not knowing how to read Hindi. She learned how to read Hindi, and then she read all the subjects in Hindi. Hindi was the medium of instruction. And then she appeared for the examination and passed it. So we used to teach her, first of all, the language, and then to clear it. And then came the 80s, while I was the student and sharing my story. We were only 3 girls among 300 boys. And then even our seniors were similar in number. And my shock, in the next batch, there was not even a single girl. And again, while I was in final year, it was a 3-year course. So while I was in final year, in the first year batch which came, there were again 3 or 4 girls in that batch, among almost 300 or 400 boys. So that, and now it comes to actually joining the profession. So this was the quantum of in the classroom, which you people today have equal in number. And then it comes to, while you have done your course, joining the profession. Then joining the profession was actually nil. Most of the girls after that used to get married. And so I, despite belonging to a very humble background, coming from very small town, was lucky enough to qualify my judicial services in my first attempt in UP. And that was the turning point. If I was about to join the practice and going back to my hometown, I was sure I was neither allowed nor was survived, because the profession was, or in the small towns, it was not good enough for the women to survive. So that judiciary was a niche that I qualified. However, later part, I have to leave it again for due to some family reasons. I shifted to Delhi, and then in Delhi for 1 year I was not doing anything. I was also in that category of girls who was not doing anything. But then after within that 1 year, I was living luckily nearby to this university, and I never intend to be a teacher. This also I want to share today on this in this platform. I never intended to be a teacher. It was either a judge or maybe a lawyer. But this place was very close to my house. The university, not only university campus, but this school of law was further near to the house. So just for, let me do something, as I am not doing anything. I'm just waiting for Delhi judicial examination to appear, because I have to shift from Delhi, UP to Delhi. And now Delhi was the thing, if I can clear. So I just went to this university and said, can I teach? So they gave me few classes as a guest teacher, and I started teaching. So, of course, there were no other female teachers in the faculty. And in Aligarh Muslim University, where I studied my law, even to date, I find only 1 or 2 faculty members are there. Since then, all these 30 years, I passed out in 1987 my LLB, and then 89 my LLM. In all these years, but the growth I have seen, lots of growth in the judiciary. The large number of girls are in judiciary, large number of girls are in practice. So for a short stint, I joined practice also, but I have noticed at that point of time that there were very few girls. And in fact, there was no washrooms for the girls in the court premises. That I'm talking about Delhi. So you can imagine the other, district courts in small towns, etc. There was no sitting place. There was no bar room. The male used to have a bar room, big room, common room, where all the facilities. But for female, there was nothing, no place, either sitting in the seniors chamber. And there were very few that cannot make their own group also and then survive. So that was the status. So, and today, when we are talking about leadership, that is really giving me a pleasure. And that itself is speaking that it is not, Women's Day is not only to talk about women, that women are there, women are doing something, but this Women Day, everywhere I'm seeing this theme of women leadership, women in the leadership roles, women in the managerial positions. So that means now I'll speak. Actually, my speech will be more now talk about a little bit of leadership and what hurdles come. That will again come from my heart because I have been in the leadership for a time, and the things which I have, done, the way I have carried it. I felt that that was why I was able to successfully complete my tenure. If I was working the other way around, the way, I'm sorry to say, the way our counterpart behaves, I could have never ever survived even for few months. So, talking about women in leadership. So it's the time for the world to recognize that the benefits which are there because of the women leadership. It is if and this shows and it commits that to place even more and more women in the leadership positions, and there will be, because women are the powerful agent of change. There are far-reaching benefits of diversity and gender parity in the leadership and decision making. Increasingly, it is being recognized in all the spheres. Despite when we are saying their representation, their number is increasing in the job scenario, but still women continue to be vastly underrepresented in the decision makings, whether it is in politics, business, profession, or even in the communities. I mean, despite they are reaching to those places, but when it comes to the decision making, it is still lagging behind. Uh, However, we have seen all fields, including the politics, but we know that the number or underrepresentation is still exists. Though the women are, they are in the courts, they are the legislators, they are executive members, they are the community, they are, of course, in the laws, they are making laws, they are, giving decisions. Uh, uh, but it requires that their representation and that it is diverse views which are required to be taken into consideration once women are appearing into all these fields. So, women as leaders and decision makers at all levels are critical in advancing gender justice and gender equality. They are also furthering economic, social, and progress and political progress. Uh, in fact, women do not even have leadership in their households, including decision making over land or the household incomes. But if they are given an opportunity, if they are even given the leadership of the household, it will improve access to education, healthcare for their families. In fact, it has been observed that the countries which have a greater proportion of women with top decision makers, they have lower levels of income inequality. Whenever women leaders are engaged in, in the peace agreement or in some execution, they are more likely to last. This is with some researches which I have, read, but that is true actually. Uh, Also, when women hold the higher position, their organizations are more profitable. They are, they can, because they believe in gender diversity. They are more likely to outperform the national average if they are in the higher position. And this I myself have, not only experience, I have done it this way. So, then our student, while they were talking, there are few women, maybe in academia or maybe in judiciary. So, actually, this presence felt, and especially at the leadership position, it is a gradual process. And gradually, they are making their leadership presence felt in every field, every field. And this is not only at regional, but national and international level also. Now, women have resolved to break the traditional glass ceiling that barred them from entering leadership position, and they possessed requisite skills and talent also to occupy them. Also, one practical thing which I would like to add here is they will come to the leadership position. First, they have to start somewhere from the entry point. So earlier, when there was no entry point, so there was no question or there was no understanding of their being in the leadership position. Now, when there are so many of them entering, equal in number or rather entering, and so the chances are they will be more and more in the leadership position, and one day will come they will be equal in number and maybe higher in number, and that is happening because women are constantly evolving and reaching to new milestone across wide spectrum of human activities in the world has witnessed the advent of many leaders, we all know. So if we understand who's a leader, so and every organization needs a leader, whatever may be its size and functions, because a leaderless organization is a model of man and machine. A country without leadership is an anarchy. A society without leadership is a violent and dangerous place to live. So, leader is a person who influences and encourages a group of people to work towards the realization of the goals, which, when women are the leaders, is happening in a very, very, effective manner. Because leadership skills are acquired and shown, though by both men and women, but there are certain differences in the basic traits and qualities which are possessed by men and women leaders. Women leadership is acting in a little different manner as to the male leadership. They are basically, I will say, they are more transformational than the men leaders. They function as a role model for their subordinate. They inspire their team and spend a lot of time in coaching their team. They take a lot about their personal development. They emphasize teamwork and authentic communication as key for success. For most women leadership is not meant only accomplishing their goals, but for transforming their fellow into better people. And that is their compulsion also, because if they start behaving in that arrogant or in that powerful leader position, the people are not going on to work under them, because still the large number of people who are their subordinates, they will not be female only. So that is also the way they can successfully carry on their leadership skill and their leadership position. Then women are further they are focused on completion of the task which is assigned on the deadlines. They start from the operational point day to the completing day the tasks which are necessary and ensure smooth functioning. Then they also prefer working in a very collegial and a comfortable atmosphere. They enable all to work in a comfortable atmosphere. They just do not complain. They overlook the certain things if they feel. They are usually not critical of their co-employees, despite this is a very very critical thing of a hierarchical structure or any organization, because bosses generally in any system they are always critical or very very in a very powered mode while they are in the higher positions, but women generally avoid that particular skill of theirs or their quality of theirs. They just talk to their employees in a very cordial and in a very collegial manner. Further, there is a cooperation and collaboration in which atmosphere they want to work. However, it is a typical feminine character. Women leaders always promote cooperation, and they always need to be clear of their roles and responsibilities, because they know if it is not so, it will result into no work. And once they are at workplace, they are always worried about their family things. So while they are working, they always feel the things should be completed, the things should be done perfectly in this much time only. Otherwise, it will create chaos for them also. Also, their communication, it's very participatory and possesses a democratic style of leading people. They are not very much in the command and control style, which is generally practiced by male leaders. They are very often indirectly communicate their expectations and sometimes help their team members to acquire the skill. One thing which is there in the women, that they just don't brand themselves, unlike their male counterparts. They are very modest or silent about their accomplishment. But now the time has come that women leaders need to learn how to brand themselves. They should share their achievements and skills with others, which generally women don't do unless they are being recognized by the world at their own. But I will suggest, unless people know you or recognize you or notice you, and for that you have to brand yourself, you're not capable of. They cannot recognize the leadership qualities of a women leader. So you have to brand yourself. You have to put yourself. You have to share your achievements and skills with others. That is very important. So when we talk of further that in today's world, whereby inclusive leadership, which makes effective decisions to deliver better results in this century, the essential qualities which are required to lead include further ability, these type of abilities which I just talked about: collaboration, connecting, empathizing, and communicating in a good manner. So these are basically seems to be very feminine nature, but they can help build a more sustainable future of the organization. Most of the statistics show that women are underrepresented. Underrepresentation of women in different sectors, and in certain sectors, and in past it was further or grossly underrepresented in all the spheres, be it business or education, manufacturing, science, technology, or whatever. Even in developed countries like United States of America, where women otherwise constitute almost 50% of population of in the education as well as at the workforce. But then when it comes to in the boss position, when it comes to in the leadership positions, there also the number is much less, because they are substantially behind men when it comes to the representation in the leadership position. So as I talked, even in the developed societies and even in the legal field, where if I say 45% women are there, they are associates, but only 20% are the partners. I hope lawyers fraternity can understand what I'm trying to tell, that though they have come in the profession, when it comes to their being the associates of the lawyers, they are almost half of it, or 45 to 50%. But when it comes to being the partner, that is much less. And this I'm not talking of India, this I'm talking much of developed society. And when it comes to equity partners, then the number is reduced further. And when it comes to academia, the number of the women as deans or as vice chancellors, even as the full professors, they are very few in number. And when it comes to being the deans or being the vice chancellor, then they are further less in number. So now if we talk of our country, that is further less. So decision making requires the women should be there in the the representation in the decision making positions, which is right now is far from being satisfactory. But while we are talking women leaders or leadership, so it means we are giving way to it. And though much remains to be done to increase the number of the women at strategic and decision making, but this women and leadership positions, or women in higher positions, when this theme started coming, we are way ahead. We are going on to achieve it very soon. Though it is rather challenging for women to first reach a position of leadership and then to struggle for acceptance and credibility. This is another very important aspect. First of all, it is very challenging for them to reach that position and then to struggle for acceptance and credibility as a leader. It is ironic that in both in conservative and liberal cultures, the presence of women in position of influence, power, and leadership is far less than desirable. So, if we explore the context of women leadership in any organization, they are hardly been in senior position. That I have already talked and made you understand, but that is slowly and gradually happening, and it is happening at a good pace, and it is being recognized also. Their qualities, their skills, they are a little found to be a little better to be good at the workplace. Though they face different bigger challenges as compared to their male counterparts, they also have to battle against certain perceptions. While more women are taking up as leadership role, there are unknown issues and challenges of leadership position, which are being now started to surface, and increasing stress level and dual responsibility of work, that is with home and with the constant pressure of providing herself, makes life difficult for them. But a more sensitized gender organization and support extended by family, women leaders are providing themselves as able and competent visionaries. And there are many recent appointments where we see women in higher position, be it in India or be it abroad. CEO and president of IBM corporations, and Indra Nooyi in India, and Hillary Clinton in the United States, and of many organizations and politics. So, with such decisions of appointing women at critically and strategically important position, it reaffirms the fact that women leaders are as good as male leaders. The evaluation of leadership effectiveness is only fair when it is based on leadership style and results in achieved rather than on the gender based. There are many difficulties. The way is not easy. It's not a cakewalk. You have to be, you need to extract the best out of your team members and hold them even in worse situations. If we all want to lead a team, but we have to, realize that there are many challenges which are faced by the leader itself. Because leader is just like a captain of a ship. If it is a wrong decision, the entire blame is yours. So the biggest challenge is to listen to everyone's opinion. And of course, there are lots of people who are working under you. They have different opinions. They have different, against each other. But your ability is to come to a mutually beneficial solution. You just can't afford to ignore anyone. You cannot turn out anyone. And if you do so, you have your biggest enemy. They will neither respect you nor will bother to listen you. So there are different type of peoples around you. You may like someone, but you may not also like someone. But that does not mean you start being rude to one person. You have to avoid favoritism as a leader. You need to be impartial towards everyone. Not every individual has the quality of being fair towards people. But as a human, we generally tend to develop feeling of jealousy, hatred, and that also comes even from among your colleagues, even for a women, even from the subordinates. If you listen to the grievances, you always try to come up with some good solutions. You will never lose your temper, but once or one moment, if you do any of these things, either you get irritated with your subordinate, or you don't listen to the grievances, or you don't quickly come with the solutions, trust me, your name would appear in the bad books of the employees. So these are also of the sides of being the leader. And to understand, you have to win the trust of your subordinates, and that is the biggest challenge. You would be surprised to see that some of your colleagues and the best friends, all of a sudden they will start avoiding you. They will be jealous of your promotion. So, I mean, these are some of the human nature of human psychology. You cannot, or you have to, sometime you cannot, or sometime you have to listen to all of them, resolve the problem at the earliest, and avoid many of the things. Because as a leader, you feel many things and many challenges. So I think I have said enough. And with regard to women leaders in the field of law, we have already talked about judges. Fatma Bibi was the first judge, and till now we have around 8-9 women judges in the Supreme Court. However, the gap is much. After every 10 or almost that many years, the number is increased, and in the past 70 years, there are only 8 judges, which is also a very small, short number. But if you look at the lower judiciary, there are large number of girls who are qualifying judicial examination, and they are working as the judges. And then we talk of the lawyers. There are very many great lawyers, and if we talk of great lawyers, the first name which comes to my mind is Indra Jaising, and there are Vrinda Grover and many more. But these are not only the names which we should take. These are the people who have really created their niche. To talk about all the girls now who are studying in the law school, they all are coming forefront, be joining as a judge, be joining as a lawyer, be joining as academician. So that is a real achievement. And later on, creating their position is another thing. So that is happening. Unlike my time, when first of all very few were studying, and then they were not further being, joining the professions. So that is happening now. Then in academia, if we talk general academia, not legal academy, so academia is a field, especially schools, women were large in number. Female teachers in the schools, they were large in number. But if we talk of higher education, of any field, engineering or even natural sciences or even law, there were very few women in the academia. Uh, mm, Few in number as the vice chancellors, few in number as professors. They are grossly underrepresented. So the position now it is slowly, there are only few women who have risen to the position to influence within this, some of these called as male-dominated professions. And higher education was also one of it. But here also, slowly, gradually, girls are entering. And, in my own few years of, if I just count the previous 5, 6 years while I am in the leadership, I have noticed the number of guest teachers is increasing. So these guest teachers are all those who are aspiring to be teacher in future. So there are large number of women, academicians in the higher education who are turning up, which was not there in earlier times. So, despite the fact that framework of national development recognize women as unique power, unit, and a potential resource that has played crucial role in social reforms, economic development, and political process, there are very few vice chancellors, very few deans, and I hope in the future times we are going on to see many more of them, because now there is a level, a particular generation which has almost come at that level, that in the upcoming few years there will be many more in number. Thank you very much. With these words I end, and I hope that is going on to happen in future. And this theme which is given this year, women in leadership, is going on to be true next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enriching words. I would take great honor in introducing Ms. Debulina Saha. She is dual qualified lawyer and founder of Internship Bank. She was previously a senior associate at Dorsey and Whitney, senior legal counsel at Cantor Fitzgerald, and an associate at Allen and Overy. She has significant experience in advising issues as well as underwriter on various MTN program establishments, updates, and drawdowns, including advising on green bond and masala bond issuance. In the past, she has worked for some of the top law firms in India, Hong Kong, and United Kingdom in areas of general corporate capital market and banking and finance law. Additionally, she has also been invited as guest faculty in India's top law schools. I would humbly invite her to share her words.
Hi, am I audible, Varda?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you so much, and thanks for the warm welcome. My apologies in advance due to some technical difficulty. I won't be able to come online, so please bear with me. And thank you so much, everyone, for such a warm welcome, and a very good evening to my esteemed panelists. The School of Gender Studies, Symbiosis. Thank you for inviting me and my dear students. Um, to start off, I wish all of you a very happy Women's Day. And it's been so wonderful listening to all my other co-panelists. And rightly said so, we all know the long journey that women have had to make, to fight for our position everywhere in life. But there is a positive sense around. People have realized that we are important, and there are steps being taken, both, even at Symbiosis Law School. I know majority of the recruitees, majority of the students each year are turning out to be women, and that's very encouraging. I myself have started an online platform to encourage female students, to help them get internship opportunities, especially female students coming from financially challenged backgrounds and lesser known colleges, and those coming from, or those who are first generation professionals with little or no networking connections. So, what I want to assure students who are listening to us today is that the world is conscious that we have much to contribute as women, and women are being missed in various positions, and steps are being taken. Maybe those are slow steps, but I tell you, they are picking up momentum, and there will come a day, at least I'm sure it will happen, at least during our lifetime, when we'll see much more women representation everywhere. Now, I've worked in London and in Hong Kong, jurisdictions where you would think that maybe the women representation is better in the corporate field. And I can only speak for my field. But what comes as a surprise even today is that even in jurisdictions like London and Hong Kong, most often than not, I'm the only woman who is perhaps attending a conference or a meeting, or the only presenter in the room full of men. And if I'm lucky, I might have 3 or 4 other women, right? So, I think what we all need to start thinking about, students, is why is there a lack in women representation? Is it because there's something in our DNA that tells us that women can't be good leaders? Is it something in our genetics? No, I can tell you there's nothing like that. There's nothing in the genetics that say that men are better leaders than women. Then what is the point? And that is what we all need to think about. And I want to take this opportunity today to make for all of us to think as to why has this gap arisen, even though we see so many law students join the law school. When it comes to rising up in the profession, what is holding women back? And that is what I want to address, and hopefully give pointers as to how perhaps we can overcome this situation, and how perhaps all of you can make that difference when you graduate from your law school. Now, coming to think about it, in the past, we were told women can't be good leaders because we were too soft. We had too much of empathy. We were too soft spoken. We were too emotional, right? So these were qualities that actually acted against us, and we were told we were not strong enough to be a leader, right? But surprisingly, what's happening in today's world, and I'm guessing it's true for every other sector and not just for the corporate sector, there is a different kind of leadership that is in demand right now. And that type of leadership actually requires the leader to have empathy, to have soft skills. A leader, they look for a leader who's able to collaborate with with her teammates. It requires a leader who's able to nurture. And that's good news for all of us. That's good news for all of us women, because given our social circumstances, doesn't matter where we come from, whether we come from India, whether we come from Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, doesn't really matter where we come from, because women across the world, they are bred to be nurturers. Since our very childhood, the way all of us are brought up, we are nurtured. We are taught to be nurturers. We are natural in that. So, students, what I'm trying to tell you is that the way the world is developing right now, at least I can speak for the corporate sector, there is great emphasis It is not just enough for a leader to have technical knowledge. It is not just enough for a leader to be in isolation and sit in a glass door chamber and give orders. Yeah, what is being expected out of a leader is to, you know, get your hands dirty, collaborate, come out of your glass door, talk to your colleagues, make them your family. And these are qualities that come so easily to women. We women are great at communicating because that's how we manage our houses, from, think about the games we played when we were children. Boys, they ran, right? They ran races. And I'm not trying to say this is true for everyone, but I'm speaking more on the general front as to what we all experience. So men, maybe they're playing cricket or they're playing other competitive games, whereas women, most of us would have played, tea party, or again, I'm not generalizing, I'm just telling you what maybe most of us would have experienced. Or we would have played, some kind of game where there was collaboration required. So students, there is hope out there. The leadership, the managerial skills that we bring, we are natural at multitasking. Even now, I mean, undisputably, women who manage home and office, they are multitasking all the time. Even a woman who is a stay-at-home person, mind you, she's a great manager. She will never come out and tell you that she's a great leader, but let me tell you, she probably does everything that the chief executive officer sitting in a male chief executive officer sitting in an office does. She manages the finance of the house. She determines the priorities, what should be done at what time, right? She's there communicating with her family members, the needs of the family, right? She may not think of herself as the leader. She might still think of the men of the house as being the leader, because that's what you're socially conditioned to believe, right? And this brings me to my second point. Students, it is so important. Half of us don't end up being leaders for many different reasons. And one of that is because we don't believe in ourselves that we can be leaders. It is, if you do not believe in yourself, students, if you do not believe that you are fit to do the job, you can be an effective leader, trust me, no one around is going to believe you. Because once you start believing in yourself, you start emanating those vibes. You appear confident. And once you appear confident, people around you will have that confidence in you executing that job properly. So it's so important that we break the glass ceiling by first maybe having confidence in ourselves. So don't say you can't be leaders. You all are doing it in your house even today. Some of you might be the eldest child of the family. You've probably already stepped into the shoes of managing the house. Household duties you've taken over from your mom. You're probably even managing some part of the finances of the family. What you do at the job front is a little more advanced stage of everything that you're already performing. The second thing I think that prevents women from becoming leaders, students, and this is what again you need to crack, is as women, we are a perfectionist. We want every job to be executed to the very best. And there's nothing wrong in that. But given the amount of work that needs to be done in an organization, I'm not trying to say you cut your slack there, but you need to now prioritize and say it's okay as long as the job gets done and gets done well. It may not meet your standards of perfection, but as long as it meets the standard of perfection of your organization, I think you should cut yourself that much of slack. Because often, because we are such a perfectionist, we keep doing it and not believing it's good enough because we keep striving for the very best. So that's another thing that we perhaps need to let go of a little, so that we are able to get there. Men don't have this idea of perfectionism. Men just wants to get the job done, right? The other third thing I've noticed, and I've read this many a times, it's something that I personally have been a victim of, and I've also read it, and thankfully it didn't make me feel that I was the only one suffering from this disease. So the disease is I never felt ready for the next position, higher position or higher responsibility. I felt, oh my God, that maybe I'm not good enough. Oh my God, that responsibility, that position, that title is too big a title. Will I be able to handle it? My boss had greater confidence in me than I had in my own self. But you're not that fortunate always to have someone have more faith in you than you have in yourself. So it has to be the other way around. Often, many of you who have done stage shows, you would know that often it is more scary to go up to the stage than to be actually performing on the stage, right? So same for your jobs. When you're getting that promotion and you're just so close, but you yourself are not applying for that higher position because you feel you're not ready, let me tell you, you will never feel you are ready. Because we women, again, the idea of perfecting everything actually prevents us from applying to a position that we rightly feel we deserve, but we feel we are not ready for it. Men don't feel that way. Men, out of the 20 things advertised for the role, 20 qualifications required for the role, I tell you, even if they satisfy two, they will say they will apply for the position and say, oh, the rest 18 I can master at the job. I can learn from someone else. I'll manage it. We need to build that confidence. So often the big job titles, I'm not saying they don't involve greater responsibility. They do, right? But what I'm trying to tell you, often we are more scared of applying for it than we would be executing those very duties when we actually get that designation. So never stop yourself. If you see that you more or less fit the criteria that they're looking out for, go and at least sit for the interview, apply, tell your boss you're interested in that promotion. Because unless and until you do that, we have been taught as women not to brag about our qualities. There's a difference between bragging and there's a difference between informing your colleagues, your boss, that you are definitely interested in that position. If you don't speak out, they might not think that you are ambitious enough, because we are often told that, oh, you have house responsibility, so maybe we are just assumed that we are not ambitious enough. Oh, hell yeah, we are ambitious. Give us that chance. But you will only get that chance when you speak out, students. So, I'm really hoping that when all of you go into the profession, you absolutely keep these things in mind. Stop being too perfectionist, grab that opportunity. You will never be ready. If you keep preparing yourself for a particular role, I can tell you, you will never be ready. And I speak from experience. So apply for it, and trust me, when you get that role, you will learn at the job. And I tell you, with all the natural qualities that we women bring with ourselves, the way we are, the way we are educated, the way we are socialized, I tell you, all those skills will come gushing to you, and your organization skills, multitasking, the fact that we have more empathy, people can relate to us more. We understand people better, and this is the kind of leadership that the corporate world is at least looking out for. And I don't think I'll be wrong in assuming that that's the case elsewhere too. So we women are leaders, and we bring different skill sets, and it's time that the world recognizes that we can be leaders by being soft, by having empathy, by taking time to speak at the table. Just because we are not speaking at the table doesn't mean that we don't bring in new ideas. We, again, because you're
But
waiting
I
to
don't
bring
think
out.
there's any discipline which is
Sorry,
better
Smriti.
suited than law.
Sorry, someone telling me something, Smriti?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My laptop is unmuted.
Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought right now. So what I'm trying to say is that, students, I'm really heavily relying on all of you to perhaps avoid some of the mistakes that I myself made, but I promise you that I've taken steps, and I'm actively addressing each of that. Be humble, be ready to learn, but always be confident in yourself. Have that faith in yourself, because I tell you, there is no DNA defect in you, saying that women can't be good leaders. In fact, one of my panelists already highlighted how when it's noted in various studies that once when women come to lead, the organization, really profits, because people, their subordinates can really identify with the cause of the organization. They feel more connected. So we definitely bring a different skill set to the table, and we should definitely bank on our multitasking, on our clear communication skills, and give the world more reasons to see us in leadership positions. I think um, that's what I wanted to concentrate on, and perhaps show you all a way, perhaps in which we could create a bigger tribe for women leadership amongst all of us. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your humble words. I would now invite Ms. Supraja, member of Center for Gender Studies of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, to share her views on legal firms.
A very good evening to one and all present here. I am Supraja Metlapalli and I am here to speak about the problems faced by women in the legal profession on account of International Women's Day. The Indian legal industry has witnessed an unprecedented growth, especially in law firms post-liberalization. In the last decade, the legal sector claims to have transformed from a kinship-based partnership model to an industry that is based on meritocracy. The adoption of professional hierarchical structure in law firms, international clients, and emphasis on rankings and branding has reinforced this assertion. But it is also a fact that women in legal fraternity still face a lot of discrimination in many aspects. Despite the discourse on equality in legal profession, interviews conducted with women lawyers across three cities, Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, highlighted a gap in standard industry policies and practices that ensure and promote equal measures. In most cases, policies were not even written. Interestingly, while most informal conversations with women lawyers started with assertion of professional equality, further questioning revealed that gender biases and discriminatory practices are widespread. This also includes being allocated unchallenging work, being forced to be contented with less professional fee than their male counterparts, and denial of benefits and promotions in corporate jobs. Most corporate organizations are unwilling to invest in women's talent. They view maternity leave and benefits as a drain on their resources. Not surprisingly, more than 84% women in law firms and companies rated their employers below average on parameters of childcare assistance programs, and approximately 74% of them felt that their employees were average and below average in promoting or mentoring women within organizations. Not that litigation is any fair better. Women in litigation don't have the standard 12-week maternity leave given the structure of court practices, but practice offers them greater flexibility insisted by many women litigators. Unlike corporate job that requires at least 8 hours of work, litigation gives them the freedom to structure their day as per their professional and personal commitments. This includes the time off during court summer vacations. Of course, this does not imply that it is free of gender bias. Women in litigation have to confront gender bias at several levels. They have to face clients, lawyers, and judges, most of whom are male on a daily basis, and the opinion that if a woman raises her voice to make a point, she is discerned to be unreasonable and not assertive makes it further difficult for female lawyers. At times, this perception overshadows her merit and results in her being labeled as aggressive. Nonetheless, only 14% of women in litigation said that they have experienced discrimination or bias by judges in the form of sarcastic remarks. Another major drawback that hinders the opportunity of women in legal field is the questions on marital status and children that regularly surfaces in job interviews. While questions pertaining to marital status and children are illegal in the United Kingdom under the Equality Act 2010, in India there is no such regulation or guidelines. For, for the legal sector, where continuity is appreciated by clients and employers alike, absence from work, however brief, puts women's career to a disadvantage and is met with unspoken disapproval. Networking and networking, an essential function of the profession, is another aspect that women grapple when they take a brief pause. The Indian legal system is not same as it used to be 10 years ago. The diverse advancements with the introduction of technology changed in the style of the working. Establishing e-courts in India will certainly improve the justice delivery system and will encourage women to work from their office itself. The incitement of women becoming a judge still holds free amongst many women advocates and lawyers, but the number of female justices has not increased over the years compared to male judges. But with the efforts of some lawyers like Indra Jaising, Menaka Guruswamy, and many other female influential personalities, slowly and surely the perceptions regarding the profession are turning around favorably to bring about equality in status, parity in pay, and novelty in work culture acceptable to women, such that more and more women will choose to enter this profession in coming years, thus ending the gap between the number of male and female. I would like to thank the Center of Gender Studies to provide me an opportunity to express my thoughts on this wonderful occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supraja, for your words. I would now invite Ms. Sanjana Srivastav to share her views on advocacy.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, Sanjana.
Okay. On account of International Women's Day, I, Sanjana Srivastav, feel privileged to have received this opportunity to put forth my thoughts on the existence of women advocates in our legal fraternity. Their role in advocacy is not something we aren't aware of. However, expressing how lucky we are to have witnessed them is something that can't be ignored. Today, let's take a tour to their journeys and contributions to the society as advocates. There has always been a saying that behind every successful man, there is a woman. That may not be true and is definitely not true for some women who manage to rise despite all odds and little support. Here are some infamous women advocates who made a remarkable name for themselves. Indira Jaising, a name that we all are proud of. Indira Jaising pursued her school education in Mumbai and completed her Bachelor of Arts degree from Bangalore University. In 1962, she completed LLM from University of Bombay. Indira Jaising is a noted personality for her legal activism in the sphere of human rights. In 2018, she was ranked 20th in the list of 20 greatest leaders of the world by Fortune magazine. She argued for the rights of homeless dwellers of Mumbai, fought in environmental cases, and raised voice regarding extrajudicial killings in Manipur. Some of the famous landmark cases where she held her presence was Bhopal gas tragedy case, Rohingya Muslim case, case of Mary Roy, case of Geeta Hariharan, and Greenpeace Indian case. Her other contributions entail she challenged the Indian Divorce Act in the High Court of Kerala and helped Christian women to get a divorce on grounds of torture, desertion, and cruelty. She represented Rupan Deol Bajaj, who prosecuted KPS Gill for sexual harassment. She was the first ever woman Additional Solicitor General of India. Moving on, Pinky Anand. She is a designated senior advocate as well as a politician. She has also been an additional Solicitor General of India at the Supreme Court. Her career changing court cases was when she was then a junior in law, appeared against the then reputed jurist LM Singhvi, and eventually won. In 1980, she was also elected as the first woman secretary of Delhi University Student Union, winning the highest number of votes. Later that year, she joined Howard University to receive a master's in law. She was the head of All India Legal Cell at Bharatiya Janata Party and is a former additional advocate general for the state of Uttarakhand. She is an expert in the field of constitutional law, property law, private international law, family law, environmental law, and corporate law. She was the vice president of Bar Association of India And while being there, she was also accoladed with several awards for excellence in law, including FICCI and Bharat Nirman Woman Achiever. Some of the popular cases fought by her include the right to freedom and expression for Indian actress Khushbu, in which the Supreme Court upheld the rights in a path breaking judgment and quashed 21 cases of defamation. She also represented the French government in the famous case of Clemenceau against genetically modified food in India. Karuna Nandi. She is an Indian constitutional, commercial, and media lawyer, as well as a feminist intellectual. She pursued law from Cambridge University, where she was awarded the Emmeline Pankhurst Prize, the Amy Cohen Awards, and Becker Studentship. She later pursued LLM from the Columbia University, New York, where she was awarded a Columbia University full time fellowship. In an Economics Times survey, she was included in a list of corporate India's fastest rising women leaders, which showed her as being famous in the corporate world for her expertise in commercial law. She also worked as a lawyer in New York, international tribunals, and the United Nations. Apart from this, she was described by Forbes magazine as a mind that matters and the agent of change by Mint. Now, it gives me immense pleasure that someday down the line, I would share the same profession as theirs and make all my efforts to make my mark. Thank you so much, and a very happy International Women's Day to all.
Thank you, Sanjana, for your humble words. Due to some technical glitches, Miss Aparna Bhatt could not join us today. I would like to invite Dr. Priyanka Mahur, Faculty in Charge, Center for Gender Studies, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Hope I am audible and visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Vardha. Honorable Director of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, Professor Dr. Sarfaraj Ahmad Khan, Honorable Mr. Venkateshwaralu Maheshwaram, President, Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, respected Deputy Director, Dr. Anuradha Vinnuri, our esteemed invited guest, Honorable Retired Justice Nadira Pathaya, Calcutta High Court, Calcutta, respected Dr. Nuzhat Khan, Dean School of Law, Bennett University, Delhi, respected Debulina Saha, Founder Internship Bank, my colleagues and my dear students. It is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad and Center for Gender Studies, extend my heartfelt gratitude to our guests for taking time from their very busy schedules to grace this august occasion. A big thank you to Honorable Justice Retired Nadira Pathaya Ma'am for such an excellent speech. We are all inspired by your great words. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your words of wisdom. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Nuzhat ma'am for her great speech. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are indeed grateful to have you here amongst us on this evening. I would like to express my deep thanks to Debulina ma'am for such excellent information. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our director, Dr. Sarfaraj Ahmad Khan, for all words of wisdom that radiate a source of energy within us. Sir always helped us in each and every moment to make this program an epoch success. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Venkateshwaralu Maheshwaram. We are really blessed by your presence. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank our beloved Deputy Director, Dr. Anuradha Binnuri. Thank you for encouraging us in organizing this event. My heartfelt thanks to all my colleagues who always stand by us, guide us, lead us, and motivate us. Thank you for making us feel happy with your presence to this function. I would like to thank my dear students for being patient and attentive throughout the event. I would like to thank all my center members. Without their efforts, this event could not have been happen. Last but not the least, I also extend my thanks to administrative staff, support staff, and all those who were instrumental in helping us conduct this event smoothly. I would like to end by few words. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Go out and shine and let the world rejoice with hope at your shining light. Happy International Women's Day to all. Thank you so much. Over to you, Varda.
Thank you, ma'am, and happy International Ma'am.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay.
With
Thank
this
you,
note,
everyone. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.